Okay, so we have a few more people joining us now, so we'll begin. So thank you all for joining us again for today's webinar. This is the first in our celebrations marking International Women's Day 2021. Today also happens to be Girls' Day, or Hiramatsuri here in Japan, so it's very fitting that we can be here to celebrate the fantastic women in our chamber today as well. So my name is Emily Helens. I'm the Executive Director here at ANZCCJ, and I will hand over to our Executive Council member, Gerard Adams of Kieran, in a moment to formally open today's event. Before I do so, please allow me just to share some general housekeeping rules. So for all of you joining us today, there is a chat function and a Q&A box down the bottom of your screen, and these are both open, so we really encourage you to send through any comments or questions that may arise throughout today's session. These will be addressed at the end of the webinar, but please do feel free to send them through at any time. If you're tuning in via your phone today, you can also send any questions to us here at ANZCCJ via info@anzccj.jp. Finally, we'll be recording today's event, so if you would like to revisit any of the content or any of our past webinars, you'll be able to do so from the event gallery on our website. So without further ado, thank you again all for participating, and I will hand over to Gerard to introduce today's topic and speaker. Thank you, Gerard.
Thanks, Emily. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our week-long celebrations to mark International Women's Day 2021, which of course is next Monday. It was a real disappointment for us as a chamber not to be able to hold face-to-face meetings for this really important event in the calendar. A similar thing we recall happened last year. I think it was the first event to move online with the pandemic situation, and we thought we might be able to do it this year, but in order to be safe, we've chosen instead of doing one day, we'll do a series of week-long celebrations. So this topic today is particularly relevant to our new SME network. So for those of you who haven't joined up, the Chamber has a relatively, it's not a new concept, but it's a revitalized SME network, particularly a LinkedIn community and a directory online. So Emily will post the link to those groups in the chat box. So please do go in and sign up, and I encourage you all to register. It's very relevant to today's topic of developing your professional brand and network and putting yourself out there. Also, as part of the SME network, we're hoping to have regular workshops just like this. So this is a bit of a taste of what's to come. Our speaker today, we're very lucky to have Elsie Yung with us. Elsie is a seasoned strategic human resources professional, a qualified colour consultant, and a speaker with more than 25 years of professional experience in multinational companies across Asia, Australia, and the UK. You'll see later in the presentation some of the Australian companies that she's worked for and been affiliated with, the likes of Qantas, Jetstar, and ESOP. Elsie is the founder of Elsyung Consulting, which provides tailored human resources consultancy and development solutions for organizations, teams, and individuals in relation to the global mindset, cross-cultural intelligence, global leadership, diversity and inclusion, cultural awareness, and business etiquette. She really fills a gap in terms of applying that large company expertise to SMEs who may not have the resources to do so. Elsie is also a great example of the international nature of our chamber and the growing nature of that. Being a Hong Kong national, working with clients in various countries. Elsie is actually in Hong Kong today, and we're very lucky to have her speaking to us here in Japan, where she has many clients as well. We believe at the Chamber that this type of borderless business activity will continue to increase as we become more accustomed to this online working environment. Of course, in this environment, though, it can be more challenging to stand out from the crowd, which is what makes today's topic, building your own professional brand and network, so important. I think particularly here in Japan, where this has traditionally not been a focus for individuals, myself included. So it's especially challenging for female business owners and professionals due to the ingrained social expectations and lack of traditional support resources in that area. So we're very fortunate to have Elsie here to guide us through on this important topic. So without further ado, over to you, Elsie.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Emily, and also Gerard's introduction. I'm very glad to be here again because last year I was also supporting the chamber to have some sort of sharing. Yeah, so thank you. Okay, so let me just go to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so thank you, Gerard. A very detailed introduction of myself. Just one thing I want to highlight in here is personally, I also had gone through a journey. So I worked from a corporate, management position, and then moved away from the corporate world to a entrepreneurship. So is building my own identity and also building my own brand is very, very important over the journey. So I really like, it's my pleasure to share this journey with you, how to actually identify myself much better during the process. And I'm a great believer of Taoism, which is a Chinese philosophy of finding your own path. So I've gone through that as well, so that I also would like to share these kind of stories with you in future. Okay, so let's get started for today's topic. So we've got a few agenda items here, and I'll happily to receive any Q&As towards the end of my presentation. So feel free to pop in your questions in the Q&A box. So first of all, why is personal brand important? And in particular, if you are still working in a corporate world, so why I do need a personal brand? Because I work in a corporate environment already. So it does relevant to both corporate and also entrepreneurs. Understand yourself to generate your brand story and how to maintain your brand. Even though you have it, how to maintain that. And the last point that I would like to share, what would be the strategies to accelerate your brand? Okay. So first of all, I've got some questions for you. So if I ask 5 people who know you what they think you are good at, or what they think makes you unique, what would they say? Would they give you the same answer that you might say about yourself? Okay. Think about it, 30 seconds. Basically, personal brand puts the intention and the focus in your reputation and ensures that other people see you the way you want. So what if I told you that actually your power in your career directly corresponds to your ability to make and maintain influence? So building influence requires a strong and compelling personal brand. Okay, so I think it's a good start to really have a reflection. How people see you, is it the same as you see yourself? I'm not a very good sportsman, but I also just want to illustrate a little bit. So if I, asked you to pick your brand, so Adidas versus Nike, how will you pick it? So for me, probably I just pick it, maybe the style, maybe the look of the sports shoes, maybe whether it is comfortable or not. But for others, probably they pick the brand is because their functionality. Because, if you're a runner, you pick the brand that is more comfortable if you have a long, run. Or if you're a basketball player, you probably pick the brand again with a specific use of the sports shoes, right? For me, probably it's just the style. So what is a brand then? As for Steve Gordon, this is a famous marketer in US, a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that taken together account for consumers' decision to choose one product or service over another. So brand is actually an expectation of an experience. So the brand actually helps me understand what I feel if I'm working with you or serve alongside of you, right? So how would I feel if I hire you or employ you or even promote you. Okay, so it's a kind of expectations and really an experience. So personal branding is how people feel and give you the sense of intention and strategy to make decisions as you build your career or you build your network. So two here. So what is your experience for these two platforms? Myself, I'm actually an Android user. So although I use Apple at the same time, whilst I was working in a corporate, because usually a company, when they give me a phone, they give me an iPhone, which is quite normal. Personally, I feel like that I enjoy using Android much better, the experience. But all my friends and even my family members, they all use Apple. So they kind of look down on me saying, oh, Elsie, why you use Android phone? But it's my experience, right? Yeah, so it's very, very personal. That's why I think this is something also, when you look at your brand, this is very, very personal. But how people view it as an experience could be potentially different. Why is personal brand important then? Okay, as I said at the beginning, so this sharing session, I'm not focusing only for entrepreneurs, although I'm actively working with a lot of SMEs owners. At the same time, it is also very important as a corporate employee. That's the reason behind, okay? Okay, so now, actually, I would like to share a very, very short video. And then after that, we'll have a little debrief of what do you think about this video, okay? So I just it right now. Okay, just bear with me a second.
One thing we're all united on, when baggage handlers mess up a guy's guitar, Taylor guitar, and he writes a song about it, the airline should try not to lose his luggage the next time. 'Cause United breaks guitars. Dave Carroll got famous for putting his complaint about United on YouTube this summer. You broke it, you should fix it. Though he never got his $1,200 repair bill reimbursed, he did get offers to speak on improving customer service. And on his way to just such a speaking engagement,
United was the only way to get here, and they lost my bag.
Lost his bag, took almost 3 days to return it. Dave couldn't wear the dress shoes he wanted to wear to the presentation, and he couldn't hand out CDs of United Breaks Guitars. United Breaks Guitars. Because they were all in the suitcase United lost. When Dave mentioned his guitar video, United reps said they knew it and suggested that in his next song,
I write about how nice the customer service reps were who were trying to find my bag in Denver.
He's already written 2 songs giving his version of events.
While on the ground, a passenger said from the seat behind me, my God, they're throwing guitars out there.
A 3rd song is on the way. The guitar saga has been great for the Canadian's performing career. He's even endorsed a line of hard-shell instrument cases. He testified and sang at a congressional hearing on passengers' rights.
Boy, they really picked the wrong guy's luggage to lose, huh?
United says, we apologize to Mr. Carroll for this inconvenience. It's unfortunate, but it's also an anomaly. 99.6% of bags we carry arrive without incident. Unfortunately for United, this 0.4% sings.
United, United.
But at least Dave's guitar was repairable. United didn't pull a John Belushi. A parody has even popped up, suggesting Dave unite with United.
Now at United we love guitar.
Genie Mode.
We know you love to pick it. We promise we won't pick it.
CNN.
We'll put it someplace special.
New York.
Won't get jarred.
Okay, so what do you think? Whilst I'm resharing my screen, oops.
United Airlines on my way.
Oh, clearly, you're like, I love this song very much. So that's why I keep sharing the same song again. Okay, so let me just go back to the screen. Sorry, just bear with me a second. Yeah, just go back to the original PowerPoint. Okay, so what happened to United? Yeah, so clearly I'm from an airline background, so that's why I love to share experience, right? Yeah, so the reason is, did you know that you already have a personal brand, even if you don't speak at conferences or have a social media presence or create content, people are already making judgment about you. So that's why if you say you don't want to control your own brand, if you don't, other people will do. Okay, so to me, I'm not saying control is really controlling everything, but I said control means that it's a choice. So it means options, right? If so, personal branding gives you actually the sense of control, but we got to remember it's always about the emotional side of the equation. So for example, this incident, United obviously trigger the emotional of that band. So that's why they make a song of it, make a big problem out of that, right? So that's why personal branding is how people feel and gives you the sense of intention and strategies to make decisions as you build your career. So remember, you need to own your own personal brand. So how to define your brand then? There might be some, different ways of doing it. So how would I know what sort of personal brand I have? So first of all, we can start with a brand mantra. Okay, so what does it mean? A brand mantra is very, simple. You can communicate very well, and also you can inspire people. So first of all, look at an example of between Muji and IKEA. Okay, so when you look at Muji and the differences between Muji and IKEA is that Muji probably is more on the simple side, minimalistic. They, sell their product is a high quality and also it's a lifestyle brand. So however, IKEA is actually more fun. You can see all the colors, around the shops, and you can try on everything you like in the store. And it creates a very family-oriented kind of environment, and they're selling furniture, right? So that's why when you look at the brand mantra for yourself, we can think of something very simple to how to describe. So short to the point, and how to communicate. So the mantra should define the purpose of your brand and what is unique about it, so that you really make it a difference from others, right? And how to inspire, others. So the mantra should be significant, able to inspire people. And that's the whole points of difference and your purpose and your mission. So how to define that? Beforehand, I would suggest that you need to understand yourself better. In a corporate world, we always do SWOT analysis. At the same time, we can also do the SWOT analysis about yourself. So you can define the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and also the threats. So the strengths could be possible that something create a competitive edge for you. For example, you are very strong at accounting and also very strong at managing customers. So it could be a strength. The weakness might be something that you definitely need to improve. So like time management or disorganization might be the example of a weakness. Opportunities. Opportunities are more external. So there are always opportunities for you to take advantage in the marketplace. So education, definitely learning and development will be an opportunity for you. And how about the threats then? In a personal brand, we talk about threats. those are the threats cannot be controlled, okay? So, but may be addressed in your opportunities. So competition will be a more relevant skill that is a threat. So other people might have the same skill set of you. How you can differentiate yourself better in order to be more able to be identified by other people. Okay, so this analysis will be unique to each people, each person, or unique to a business. So I would strongly recommend you to take a moment to really to assess your situation and to form up your personal own SWOT analysis. Other ideas, okay? Discover your motivation. So why is that? You know, like what does it mean? What is the relationship between personal brand? So I can also ask you a question. So how do you get to your current career right now? Did you design it or did someone design for you? Okay. So I remember a lady, you know, I asked the same question to her and then she said, really, I took jobs because somebody thought I would be good at it. Or, you know, they thought I'm good at something, or they just offered more money to me. So I moved to that direction. I really didn't set out with a strategy. So I think it is very useful to identify your motivation, given doesn't mean that you are in a transition. But somehow, you know, like you can stop where you are and ask yourself, what do I want to be to going forward? Okay. So personally, of course, I've been keep reflecting myself from a career point of view. Shall I stay in the corporate world for long? Because obviously I stayed there for quite a number of years. Or should I move away from that and then start something new? So I think it's also, you know, like think about in 5 years out, what do you want to be? This is very important to identify, define yourself, and then set your personal brand. So another thing is from more reactive to proactive. So I think, you know, like building your own personal brand doesn't mean that you can or you should, okay? Just because you want to doesn't mean that you can, okay? So take a, you know, an inventory of where you are and what you love to do. So with your career, and it might take it to go there. So think about, you know, more from a reactive and becoming more proactive. So that's move from a reactive career and something much more intentional and much more proactive in future. So I think the whole idea for this is that reflect and see what you want to be in future. I think this is also part of my Taoism philosophy to know what is the role for you, what is the path for you, okay? Another set of, you know, like suggestions or recommendations to you for defining yourself is to build influence. So maybe right now you're looking for a new job or you want a promotion already. And, you know, like you might ask people to some additional tools and resources, right? But how you can influence others to give those tools to you and to give that opportunity to you. That is the idea of building your influence across others, you know, in an environment, you know, in a corporate or in the dealing with your clients. Also, another person will come to me, you know, saying that person really wants a promotion, but she can't. Okay, so over the last couple of years, all her peers has been promoted, but she wouldn't, you know, like she wasn't being chosen. What happened to her? Okay, so I realized that that person, you know, that is a lady. So she has been involving in a lot of, you know, like social activities, and also she's been almost like an office mom, working, you know, helping people with different, you know, circulate a card for the birthdays and also arranging different social activities for people. That's why the company actually look at her, feel like that she's more acting like an office mom, is not really an executive. So that is something after we discuss, I recommend her to definitely she needs to make some changes, because otherwise people always see her as a, like at that certain caliber of professional rather than a really able for her to step up as an executive, right? At the same time, also we need to create credibility, okay? to build your own personal brand, that means this is your DNA. So what you believe in, what is your value, and what is your vision, right? So always walk the talk is very important. So you need to be consistent. For me, I'm a great believer of humility. And also I am a great believer of being, like always positive. So I always demonstrate that during work and also during my interaction with my clients, because this is something I'm a great believer in and I need to walk the talk. So that's why I create a credibility to myself and build my own personal brand. So I think for you guys, again, like have a look of your inventory. I always, like say, reflect a little bit of yourself. And I think it's a great, good to have someone that you can actually talk to. And then later I can, also share the experience of having a great mentor is very important, okay, to really understand yourself better. So I talk about a brand and it's an emotional connection. So that's why it's a story. Your story. Okay, so every great brand is actually have its origin story. Your past events that led to where you are and what challenges have you overcome. So building a brand, always people love to hear, what have you been doing in the past and how you mitigate those challenges. For example, like Disney. So actually, Walt Disney once sat in a very, very dirty, broken, environment near a merry-go-round. And then he realized that he really want to create a better family experience. For example, like a theme park. So he came up with the beginning of the Disneyland and a very clean theme park with plenty of bathrooms, children and parents can, join together, have some fun, great fun together, right? So those are the past experience that lead you to the next step. And somehow, to build your personal brand, you need to have an honest conversation with yourself. Okay, so what is your personal path and what life, into it and before and after? When you are able to identify your brand story, you need to tell it. You need to let people to know about it. Okay, so the best way is become a very strong storyteller to tell your story over and over again. However, you need practice because you can't really just rock up in a in an event and then okay, let me just share my story with all of you, right? It doesn't work like that. But naturally, when you share your experience, when you talk to somebody that you don't know in the first place, you introduce yourself, you can start talking about your brand story. So the more you practice, actually you're very good at that. Personally, I feel very, very awkward. Initially, when I moved away from corporate to entrepreneurship, right? So people ask you, Elsie, what are you doing? I feel very, very awkward to talk about myself because I feel like, yeah, so what should I say? I've been in the corporate world for long, but so what? Yeah. So, but the more I practice, I feel really, really, comfortable to talk about myself and how I get into my business because I really want to help people. So that's why the business is coming from. And promote your brand story. So know your story inside out and share the stories, improve your confidence, right? And pitch the story to someone you trust so that they can give feedback to you and give insights to you too. When you talk about your story, you need to identify your target audience, right? It's a kind of a promotion and position yourself. I'm not talking about like really brag about yourself and self-promotion, but promote to the right audience. This is very important. So imagine you were a luxury car company like Mercedes-Benz, right? So you won't be spending money advertising in teen magazines or at high school or in the areas that people actually don't drive cars. So you need to target to the right audience when you talk about your story. So it sounds like it's easy, to say, oh, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to target your target customers, right? How about in corporate then? Okay, so you actually do the same thing. When you're in a corporate environment, you also want to, connect with people that actually can support you to build your brand. Because if you're in next 5 years, you want to be, the head of department. So you want to build your brand across those people so that they know about you and know that you are capable of stepping up and do a better job in your organization. Okay, so that means more target and able to spend, a more effort in there. And the next one is about emotional connections. Or as I said at the beginning, brand is always connect to emotions because people remember you and people understand your story and they connect with you a bit better. So imagine, I'm a coffee lover. So yeah, I try different coffee shops along the way, whenever there is a coffee shop around, so I would try. But somehow or the other, I still love to go to Starbucks. Either whether the brand itself and the coffee itself is good. The environment makes you to have that emotional connection. And also, I'm also a collector of mugs. Like my husband always complained about me saying, why you buy another mug again? But whenever I travel, I will go to Starbucks, in each of the, the locations, I go to the Starbucks. Of course, I enjoy a good cup of coffee. At the same time, I also look at the mug. So that emotional connections drive me, go back to Starbucks again. As a personal brand, it's the same thing. If you have that emotional connections with people, people will come to you naturally because they remember you. And it's a very positive remembering. So the next one is how to accelerate, after you build, identify yourself about your own, personal identity and your story and how to accelerate. This is actually very, to the topic is find a mentor. Because once, the Greek saying is about one of the greatest values of mentors is the ability to see ahead what others cannot see. And then to help them navigate a course to their destination. So when you are setting out to your journey to build a strong personal brand, it is, it always feel like that you want to build it alone. But actually, to find a great mentor, you can actually just even more efficient to discover your motivations and build your brand story. And it's important that this is not, of course, when you find a mentor, this is not one size fits all. We naturally want to have a good chemistry with our mentors, but you can't rely on chemistry alone. So at the end of the day, we need people in our lives that who don't just tell us what we want to hear. So we want someone that is not only encourage you, at the same time to tell you that really the hard truths that you use to, to better yourself and to get closer to the goals that you're pursuing. Besides mentor, actually, I also suggest there is a personal advisory board. It's not the board of directors in your company, but it's more to your personal level. Your board is an extended group of people that give you inspiration and also give you the direction and accountability so that, you can build the areas of expertise. So your mentor is able to, help you to find a vision, but the personal advisory board is actually the specific tools to get there. At the same time, you need to embrace your imperfections, like nobody is perfect in the world. So because that makes you a real person. Yeah. So I think connecting with your audience with imperfections is actually make your brand more real. And that's what is that because we are human, right? So I think this is also really to embrace that. Doesn't matter, I always make mistakes, but I also embrace that. So communicate and market your brand. So how to communicate your brand then? Of course, right now, we use a lot of online presence. But at the one thing bear that in mind, your online presence is also need to be genuine. because you want to show your own personal brand values on there and let people see who you are. So imagine you are, like a very friendly, you are a very approachable professional. You want to do the same online, show the same thing, be consistent, okay? Because even though not always online will be you have feedback from people, but people can see it. It's a public domain. And at the same time, use different networks, different, platforms. If you're a professional, of course, we use LinkedIn a lot. So that's why whenever you post on LinkedIn, anything you say on LinkedIn is actually represent you. And again, walk the talk. So if you do it on Facebook or other platforms like Twitter or Instagram, you do the same. So managing your brand at work, okay? So again, in the office environment, you need to manage that. Make sure that you also present yourself in a consistent way. Given your personal time, you might want to do something else, it's fairly different from the things you're at work. You need to maintain that consistency. Managing your appearance, okay? Personal brand always go hand in hand with how you present yourself. I always feel this is important to give people the very, very good impression. As an HR professional myself, I met a lot of candidates, right? So during the, interviews, I always look at the impression that I've got. So make sure that you also manage that. And audit your touch points. So what does it mean then? Over the, all your interactions with people, this is the consistency that I'm referring to. Either if you met someone during a networking event, you got the name card. And after that, you probably want to make sure that, you create that connections with that person, not only receiving a name card, but at the same time to build the connections in the longer term. We always feel that building a network is only not exchanging name cards, not exchanging your titles, but at the same time to build your own network there and build that connections and meaningful connections. So I think, all your touch points, whether it's online, offline, personal, like a meeting with different people, I think need to create that memorable experience to people and make sure that you present a positive touch points. Personal marketing strategy, okay? Effective networking. So your personal brand is not about who you are, but it's about who you are, right? So building the next, your career, or maybe you are an entrepreneur, you want to expand your network to other, business owners or different people that you can potentially get your business. Effective networking is very important. So that's why whenever, there is an opportunity, I think we need to grasp that opportunity and then show your story and then present yourself in the networking environment. I know somehow right now it's a little bit challenging with COVID, but I still encourage that, if able to be able to online connect with people, I will also value that opportunity. And you could need to connect to right people at the right events too, So I think this is also important to build your own presence. Becoming the connectors. So what does it mean then? Sometimes when you connect with people, if you actually identify yourself, are able to support, because you as a connector, you actually be able to introduce people to others too. So I'm also a great believer. I always like to support others first, because if I know something that I can help people, I will initiate that help. So if I know someone that can bridge the gap, I will first take that step and introduce that person first. That actually also create a very strong brand of you, so that people know that, okay, if they come to Elsie can give them a solution. Okay, so I think this is also not only passively, but also proactively able to support your brand. The next one is about volunteering. Myself, I also a great believer of giving back to the society. That also helped me to maintain my brand too. I'm a Rotary member in Hong Kong, so I involve a lot of the volunteering activities, in particular on education. I also a great believer of using my own experience to help the younger generation, because I remember a long time when I first started out, nobody told me. I just, kind of been through the experience and then make a lot of mistakes. And I realized that if someone at that moment, when I first started my career, somebody would tell me, like you should do that, or give me some guidance. So after all these years, I realized that I really want to support people that start out and give them advice. So that is more on the volunteering side. And then I think over the volunteering activities, definitely you can also build a very strong network there, and also build your own very, very strong branding there. So now people know about me, I've been heavily involved in Rotary activities, and people will come to me for advice. So basically, after all my presentations, it's a journey, and it's never a destination. So strongly recommend everyone start today. Never too late. I never say never as well. And wish you all good luck to build your own personal brand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elsie. That was fantastic. It was particularly interesting for me to hear that connection between Taoism and the finding your path and your personal brand. It's a really interesting connection, which I'm going to certainly look more into after this. We have a few questions and comments coming through, so I'll just read them out to you, including many people saying it was a terrific presentation. So thank you for the feedback. There's a question here from Arnab M. The question is, how do you benchmark your personal brand?
Okay. Well, actually, to be honest, I don't do a benchmark. The reason is because personal brand, as we said, it's personal. Okay, it's really you. If you have that experience, if you have that credibility, nobody can take it away from you. And I also don't put myself and then compare myself to a celebrity, or compare myself to the board of director, someone famous, because probably they don't have the qualities that I have. And I'm very comfortable of myself. Of course, I would say, it's somehow or the other, you could end up some imposter syndrome, right? So you feel like, maybe I'm not very good, I'm not good enough. But I think that's not really a benchmark for me.
Yes, fair enough. And another question, which I could probably ask myself as well. It's a great question. If I already have a good career, why do I have to promote myself?
Okay. Yeah, very good question. Actually, okay, so at the beginning, I said, like if I don't do the branding for myself, if I don't take the ownership of the branding, right, people will do. So anyway, so that is a branding. Doesn't matter whether you are in a corporate, or doesn't matter you are in an entrepreneurship. So how you behave and how you present yourself, people can already form an impression. Okay, so if you have a good career, that's good, that's great. At the same time, probably you want to, again, reflect a little bit, and then how you see yourself in the next 5 years. You want to continue to build that, is, like a really, to continue to build that rapport with people, right? So I think this is equally important given you are in a corporate world. Yeah.
Yes, that's certainly much clearer to me now after your presentation. So thank you for that. Another question, can you give an example of a person in the business community who you think has an excellent personal brand, and what could we learn from that person?
Okay. Okay, so I think personally, I really like Alan Joyce. Although he's up there, CEO. I knew him. I met him a few times, and he know me. So as you know,
The
Alan
CEO
Joyce,
of Qantas.
correct, CEO
Yes.
of Qantas. Yeah, yeah. Why I want to promote him, or maybe I want to use him as an example, because I remember at one point, of course, Qantas has been going through up and down. I mean, of course, right now, Qantas is suffering at this point of time. Whilst I was still working with Qantas, yes, he had an occasion that somebody actually, when he was presenting, somebody, like kind of put a kick on him on his face right during his presentation. And that incident, actually, we just felt like, oh, what happened? And then would be angry, or would it be, like upset? And he just joked about it. He just joked about it, the whole thing. Yeah, so he was like presenting, and then everybody look at him, and somebody puts the kick on him, right? So that's why I think personally, I really, I do appreciate, like I really respect him as a leader. And also he has been, managing a lot of incidents happening for that airline. And also like he's a human, right? So yeah, what can he do? He's been put a kick on his face.
Yes, he embraced his imperfections.
Exactly. So I really appreciate people with really a real personality. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, it's during those crisis times when your personal brand really gets put to the test, and you find out some things about yourself. Another question from the Q&A box. Do you think if you make your personal brand too fun and friendly, that people will not want to work with you professionally?
Okay. Yeah, this is a great question too. I always have, like people come to me because I mentioned one point is about building credibility and also building influence, right? So I do think if it's on a professional level, I will also recommend as a professional. Yeah, so being fun and being friendly, yeah, no problem, but not too much. If it's working environment, if it's on a, like during meeting or presentation, sometimes I would joke about it, like have a little laughs, like to break the ice or something, but remain as you are in control of that, like not getting out the way, like people, in the meeting, they might just laugh about it and then just carry away, right? So I would suggest being a professional, you can joke, still have a little joke, be as a human, right? But control. Yeah, I think this is also very important.
Yes, and I guess that brings into another question about the cross-cultural aspect, right? I know that this afternoon you'll be presenting to another group in Hong Kong, a room full of Chinese speakers, and
Yes.
and one of your particular areas of expertise is that cross-cultural intelligence. So do you have any additional comments about how certain things should be emphasized in different cultures, or any traps for people?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, personally, yeah, I work across culture a lot, a lot of times and a lot of opportunities. I think, in particular, the cross culture in right now in this forum is the cross culture between Australian and Japanese. When I first joined the airline, Jetstar, I always laugh at that. Like I always joke about Aussie. I call them Lao Aussie. They always like to talk over people. But if I realize that this is not something they intentionally do it, that's just their personality. So I'm aware, and then during meetings, I have different culture of people. So I've got local Chinese, Hong Kong. I've got mainland Chinese, which is probably similar style as the Japanese because we are Asian. And also we have Australians. So I always, at the beginning, when I host a meeting, I said, look, English is not our first language. So in Hong Kong, China, and also in Japan, yeah, we cannot 100% understand what you guys are talking about. Yeah, so speak slowly and then give us opportunity to talk. Okay, because we tend to be Asian, we tend to hide ourselves. Yeah, so during meeting, we listen, and then we think, and after that, it's gone, the opportunity, because they jump to another topic already, right? So for me, I always be very, very mindful of respecting each other's culture. Doesn't mean that if I don't say anything, I don't have a view. Yeah, I do have a view, but I don't have that opportunity to say about it, right? So I think at the professional level, how to manage that is, if you are the leader, you need to be very mindful of the differences and respect that. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's been a key insight from today's presentation. A consideration of your own personal brand requires you to think about what others think. Of course, not in an unhealthy way, but in a healthy way, and inherent in that thinking about how others think, are acting in those ways that will make people feel more comfortable, and therefore enhancing your own personal brand at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And just one last question it seems we have here, perhaps quite relevant to the topic today. Is personal brand still relevant if I'm out of the workforce or transitioning my career?
Yes, absolutely. I do also have clients because I also do a lot of career transition coaching for people. Whilst unfortunately, due to redundancy, so they have to let go of people. So I help them to do the career transition. Personal brand is always there, as I said. Given a long career break, I would suggest that keep working on yourself to do the SWOT analysis and also identify opportunities. When there is a career job opportunity come up, you also can demonstrate that you've been improving yourself and also you've been improving your brand. Impression and your behaviors is always there. Doesn't really relevant to whether you have a long career break or not. So I personally, I also during my transition from a career, from a corporate career to a entrepreneur career, also I've got questions to me, right? So because people say, why you give up your job? You've got a very high level, corporate job. Why you have to go out there and then start your own business, right? I said, well, because I really love what I'm doing right now. I feel like I keep learning, because over my entrepreneurship, I learned something new. I can share the stories to people saying, in my past experience, I never talk about online marketing. I never talk about SEO or, all those jargons, right? I'm now doing that. So I need to learn it myself. So I said, it's a whole new experience to me. So I enjoy that. It's building my own personal brand now. So I can now share the insights with you guys. In my past experience in a corporate, probably there's no need for me to do it. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's always very valuable, even if a long career break. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Elsie. And finally, would you like to make a note of, I know that you're hosting another event on the actual IWD next Monday.
Yes.
And Emily will post a link in the chat box for those who are interested, the panel session that you're hosting next week.
Yeah, thank you, Gerard. Yes, so with also the along those the lines of International Women's Day, I'm happy to host a event on the 8th of March, 8:30 Hong Kong, which is 9:30 Japan time, night time. Is about stereotyping, gender stereotyping, and also men and women communications. And I'm happy also. I've got one of my best friends in Japan, Jennifer Shinkai. So she's joining us as one of our panelists. So if you are interested to join, please feel free. Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And of course, as you alluded to, the women from various countries coming together to discuss effective communication, etc. I think there's a lot to learn at work and at home for all of us. So thank you again, Elsie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And finally, while we have everyone here in the last few minutes, I'm pleased to introduce our ANZCCJ Chair Emeritus, Melanie Brock, to share some exciting news about the Celebrating Women in Japan project.
Thanks,
Melanie?
Gerard, and hello, everybody. Terrific presentation by Elsie, particularly because Elsie mentioned the importance of mentoring as part of your own work and what have you. And so Celebrating Women in Japan, many of you have supported us, and many of our members, in fact, were profiled in the project that we started in 2017. It was a daily profiling of Japanese women and or women in Japan supporting Japanese women. And we found it to be a particularly interesting way of reaching out and telling the stories of Japanese women that sometimes don't get heard very much by people outside of Japan or even within, actually. We're looking at the next stage for the project, and we're an advocate of diversity and gender equality. But we're looking now at how we might help the next generation. And Elsie very kindly in the conversation prior to our starting the webinar agreed to become one of our first mentors. So I feel like my job's already been done. But we're going to be establishing a mentor-mentee network through Celebrating Women of Japan. And I think that it'd be a great way to work with the Chamber and our members. One of the things I learned from the Minerva group in Australia which is a terrific network that has been established for business people to help support people who are retiring from their positions and or still engaged, is that sometimes it's groups from different areas that might help people in different, you don't have to necessarily be a person in small business to always help another person in small business. So we're looking to try and have cross-cultural and sort of cross networking of some sort through the establishment of a mentor-mentee network. And so we look forward to working with the Chamber, and thank you very much for the chance to speak about it today, Gerard.
Thank you very much, Melanie. That's fantastic. And so thank you again, everyone, for joining the presentation today. And please do log on to the links that have been provided in the chat box, and also the ANZCCJ website that has the details of the other upcoming events, in our week-long celebration of International Women's Day. Thank you again to Elsie Yung, and thank you all. Thanks, Elsie.